Welcome back to Q&A Anime. You're here with Kadir and Akil, and today we're discussing the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie.
Make sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications and updates, and without further ado, let's get into it. So, what are your thoughts on the movie without giving anything away, Akil? We're going to get into spoilers later, but for right now, we're just giving an overview of what we think.
Well, for the spoiler-free version, I have to say the animation of this movie was absolutely incredible. The fight scenes were so fluid and dynamic, and it was great being able to see it on the big screen especially, just because of how amazing it looked. The soundtrack was well crafted too, and each score matched the scene phenomenally, and it helped add even more suspense or hype at different moments. So overall, it just made the experience that much better.
I am in full agreement with Akil. The animation was phenomenal, the soundtrack was beautiful, the plot didn't feel rushed. I wasn't sure how they were going to handle the development of the main character, because in Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, which is the novel that the film was adapted from, the manga chapter, it felt a bit rushed, but, you know, the manga being a different storytelling medium kind of gives it that leeway. Like, you can suspend your sense of time in a quick one-chapter novel. But I liked how they addressed his growth in the movie. And it was just the perfect balance of action, comedy, emotional feeling. Like, the comedy was in there at perfect moments, so it didn't feel like a totally serious thing all the time. There was the emotional moments that I mentioned that made you feel choked up a bit, especially between the main character and Rika. And of course, there's another like big pairing between two really strong characters that kind of tugs at your heartstrings a bit. At least it did for me, especially at the end there. There were also a bunch of girls that were simping for Gojo, which I found funny, but that man is a chick magnet, so I couldn't hate. I think it's cool that you can watch this movie without having to have seen the series, but I think it's definitely cooler if you have, because you recognize like a lot of like references and stuff. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on the film without giving anything away about the plot. So we're about to get into the spoiler warning stuff here. So if you
final chance, if you have not seen the movie yet and you don't want any spoilers, click away now and then come back once you've seen it. But last chance.
Yes. So the way we're going to talk about the rest of the movie, we're going to talk about the story more so than like the specific animations and like soundtracks and stuff, because we kind of already talked about that. So we're going to go into the specifics of the story and talk about like what we liked and what our opinions of some of the scenes that we that stuck out to us, like how they made us feel personally. So I thought that Yuka's character development was rushed, but I think they did it in a believable way. Like when I was reading the manga, I was like, wow, this dude went from 0 to 100. But I think they took a good approach to making it seem like he was kind of on the fast track because of how the whole, you know, the night parade of 100 demons and when Jujutsu Kaisen High got attacked and how he had to like step up, found that all like super believable. I liked how they did it. And he was really put in a super desperate situation, and he had to pop off with Rika, and that's when the movie like got more like intense for me. So like when Geto used like Maxim Uzumaki, which is a technique that combines a massive number of collected curses into one powerful attack, I lost my mind. I was just like, yo! Like you could ask the person I was seeing it with, I was like elbowing them the whole time. Suguru used over 4,000 curses and it still wasn't enough to defeat the Rika Yuta combo. So I thought like that was insane. That kind of goes to show like how strong that Yuta is as a sorcerer. Not that Rika wasn't strong in herself, but as we learn later, we learn that he's a descendant of Michizane Sugawara, which is one of the greatest sorcerers to ever live, and that makes him a very distant cousin of Gojo. So he's had like this like lineage of power, and for us to like recognize that at the end is kind of like, yeah, of course he kind of had to have some kind of like latent talent ability, because for those of you that are watching Jujutsu Kaisen, it's kind of a struggle for a lot of characters to like be good. Like, you have a lot of side characters that are just like training for years, and the highest they go is like a grade 2 sorcerer, for example. And this dude is special grade right off the bat. So even without the curse, he's still a monster, as you'll see later. And we find out later, like I mentioned, that it was him that cursed Rika and turned her into the demonic curse that she was. This goes to show that he himself is a powerhouse in his own right. The person he was at the beginning of the anime, when he was clearly a victim, he developed into a hero at the end. I thought that was pretty good character development. And I also felt like I got closer to some of the side characters, like Toge. I kind of understood him a little bit more after seeing him like try to protect Yuta in the situation. Remember when they were in the old shopping district? Toge had helped Yuta out. He wanted to keep him in the back. Just like, I'll handle it. You don't gotta worry about it. But I like how Yuta stepped up and decided to help Toge at the end there. What about you, Akil?
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you said, and I'm definitely going to address that a little bit later. But just to start off, I just want to say how much I really loved this movie. And before I even get into why, my friend was talking, and one of our friends in our group chat, he ended up saying that he thought that Mugen Train, the Demon Slayer movie, was better than Jujutsu Kaisen 0. And I said maybe animation style, but as far as story goes, they don't even come close. I think the Jujutsu Kaisen 0 story was phenomenal. It was just as well crafted as the rest of the series, and it had some pretty insane moments too. I enjoyed seeing Yuta grow from like the scared, timid boy that we see at the beginning, and to the strong, brave guy who's then facing down Geto and his insane technique you were talking about. Remember the Maxim Uzumaki. Like, it was incredible to see how far he's come and how he got to that point. And I do agree that it does feel a bit rushed, but yeah, it was definitely. I don't think his development was so dramatic that it seems implausible, especially when they throw in the fact that he is in fact a descendant of one of the greatest sorcerers of all time, because we understand how important bloodlines are in Jujutsu Kaisen. We see that consistently, and also like how much of a burden it can be for those people as well. And another thing I also really enjoyed was getting to see him grow closer with Maki and Toge. He didn't really have any side mission with Panda, so I'm not sure. Him and Panda seemed like they were close, but I definitely enjoyed seeing those moments in the fights with Maki and Toge as he grew closer and began to understand them more. And seeing as how he grew to understand them and the struggles that they go through, he kind of was able to find the strength to keep pushing himself forward and face danger head on time and time again. And aside from like the Yuta versus Geto fight, which was just absolutely insane to watch, like you said, just incredible. Like, I was also so hyped because just seeing the attack and how they clashed. Oh my goodness! Like for those of you who've seen, you understand.
Yes.
But
yes.
I think my favorite fight outside of that one was when Toge and Yuta were fighting the cursed spirits at the shopping mall, because I think that the power that the cursed spirit used was interesting, and I also love seeing the teamwork between the two of them and how Toge was trying to have Yuta stay behind, even though his ability was constantly hurting him and he already was in a bit of a bad state. And then seeing as like Yuta realized what Toge was doing for him, he was like, hey, I need to start pulling my weight too. I can't just afford to be the same guy I was before. Like, he's like, I came here to learn how to control my power and help people. And I liked the fact that him like growing with these people helped keep him on track towards his goal.
100%.
Yeah. Seeing everyone fight during the night parade of 100 demons was a pretty cool moment too. We got to see a lot of different characters, some who we'd only seen like glimpses of here and there in the original first season. And then seeing Nanami perform a Black Flash was also super hype. And then of course seeing the students of the Kyoto branch fight was nice as well, because it was just kind of a callback to the characters that we know and have grown to kind of care for in the first season. The plot twist of Yuta being the one who cursed Rika, I thought, and not the other way around, I think was pretty interesting. I kind of caught on eventually as it kind of grew. They kind of dropped some hints for it and I picked up on it. But I do think that it was kind of an interesting way to go, instead of just saying that like she cursed him, because as Gojo said when he was talking about it, he referred to it, he's like, he thinks that love is the cruelest curse of all. And so I like the idea that like of the like the poeticness of that statement and how like it kind of manifested itself in Yuta and Rika's dynamic, I guess, especially after her death. But I also like the fact that they had a real reason behind it. It was Yuta who, not knowing of all the power he had, accidentally did this to her, and how he's then later the one to like set her free. And then, of course, the Gojo Geto history was really intriguing. And then the scene at the end where Gojo's returning Yuta's student ID to him, and he's like, "Oh, you found it?" He said, "No, not me. My best friend did, the only one I ever had." Right after apparently having to put that exact same best friend down, like because he was evil, was just that one was just hit me right in the feels.
That was so sad. That was the scene where I like got choked up the most, even more than when Yuta had let Rika go. You remember after finishing his fight with Geto, it just shows how much like of a burden that Gojo's carrying. Because you remember that flashback when Gojo and Geto are like talking like at a distance, like far apart, and they have this difference of opinion, and they go their like separate ways after.
Yeah,
that hurt. That hurt to see. So,
and it's also interesting because in their difference of opinion, it seems as though Geto's stance is now where Gojo is in the present, in the sense that he wanted to create like a fair and just world, and he believed that the Jujutsu sorcerers should protect people, as opposed to his views on now like opposite way around. He's like, only Jujutsu sorcerers deserve to be in power and be the ones who are alive in this new world. And Gojo's now the one who's like, no, like, we need to protect people and all that.
Yeah, I thought that Geto's philosophy was pretty interesting when he got into like, why do the strong exist? Is it just to protect the weak? And I definitely like to get into that more. Maybe in like a different video we talk about like Geto's philosophy, or like we do a character analysis of Geto, because I think he's a very interesting like villain. And
yeah, definitely.
For those of you that watch the series, Geto in the movie is not Geto in the anime. And I'm not going to say any more than that, because I don't want to spoil anything for those of you that don't read the manga. So I'm just going to leave it there. But it's an interesting debate, I think. Like, why do they have these powers if they're not going to? I guess what Geto's saying is more like, if the weak aren't able to eventually defend themselves, then they're just a burden, you know? And no one wants to carry a burden around forever, you know? The Jujutsu Kaisen world is there to stop curses and everything, but at some point they could make their lives a lot easier by either making everybody Jujutsu Kaisen or Jujutsu sorcerers, or getting rid of everyone that isn't a Jujutsu sorcerer, right?
Yeah.
What was your favorite comedy scene? Out of curiosity.
Oh, my favorite comedy scene?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure. I think it was probably the moment with Toto Ai where he brings over the giant curse.
Aoi Toto?
Yeah. And they're like, whoa, you can't fight that by yourself. What are you doing? And he says, the Tanaka special's coming on at 8 p.m. tonight, and I can't miss it.
I think that was up there for me. And then the other scene where Gojo is introducing the other students, and he's like, oh, this is Maki Zenin. She's part of the Zenin clan. This is Toge. He's got a cursed speech. And this is Panda. And then he doesn't go any deeper into the panda in the room.
Yeah, that one was a pretty good one, too.
Did you see the post-credit scene?
No, I didn't. I didn't actually know there was one.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to give it away in case you want to go back and see it. But there is a post-credit scene, and it's pretty funny. That's all I'll say. So,
okay, well now I have to know.
Yeah, you'll have to go back and watch it. I'll see it a second time, I know that. So I guess that kind of ends our analysis or our thoughts on Jujutsu Kaisen 0. Overall, great movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it. If you made it to the end of this video, watch it again. And we'll be doing some more Jujutsu Kaisen videos for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, black flash that like button, and yeah, I think that's about it. So Q&A out.
Q&A out.